Hello, everyone. I too was over on Grimm's stream. But now I'm inviting you guys for Bible study because it's Bible study time. And I respect Grimm. I ain't trying to step on or any of that business, but it is Bible study time. So please come out in 5 minutes. The link should be in the chat. See you in 5 minutes. Hello, hello. Thank you guys for joining us. For those who are watching, we have Yoav, the master of colors, and Skankenstein, a man made from the 12 members of a ska band. Um, I think that's what that name implies. Yeah. He's got the wrist of a trombone player or something. Yoav, have you ever listened to skank or to ska music? Do you know what ska music is?
Yeah, I know what it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's one of the forms of music I feel I have to explain to people a lot. It's a good time.
It's akin to reggae, isn't it?
We're a small
Yes.
but mighty tribe.
Yes. Yeah. It's like if punk rock and reggae had a baby. It's fast reggae.
Okay, Yongo, I bite. Can you send a link to some
Oh,
Basque ska music?
oh, right, and maybe some.
Oh, he went on mute for some reason. Um, there was a very big Christian ska uh, scene for a period of time. I don't know why the ska scene came for Christianity, but it did. Um, okay, we are going into a great text today. I'm surprised Cassandra's not here. I knew she wouldn't be here last week, but perhaps she is surprised and going, "Wait, what? How'd that happen? How'd you do that? Did you hear me saying I didn't know where, like, actually just as it came out of my mouth, I don't know where Cassandra is? Hi, Cassandra. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. I might pop in and out because I think I need to transfer over to the app. The web browser is kind of glitchy.
Okay.
Okay.
That could just be
Just a
my
second.
fault. Okay, no problem. Yoav, am I coming in and out or am I solid?
Well, everything is fine here.
Okay, excellent. Well, then we're gonna move into the text. Um, unless you have any kind of announcement that you would like to make, sir.
Yeah, the announcement is that Pesach is coming in 2 days.
Yes, that's right.
And
Passover begins.
we're all busy cleaning the house, etc.
Oh, what do you do for the cleaning ritual? Because it's like I've heard there's a variety of things that people will do to make it spick and span.
Well,
Cassandra,
I
you're
just
here.
I just clean yet, but
Yeah.
I'm not getting into the necessary detail.
Okay. Because I've heard like some people will like cover things in tinfoil, and I've seen images of stuff like that where people go, well, just in case we put this like layer over. No, never heard of such things.
Well, it depends on the community or background. I mean, different communities will have different habits. I never heard of it.
Do you do the thing where at the beginning you go with the feather and the wooden spoon to find the last little crumb?
No, I don't, but I should.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the last piece of leavened bread, the papa is supposed to go find it, and it gets hidden for him, and he like brushes it on, and then it gets burnt, right? Burnt at the synagogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they burnt it just outside the house. No, don't.
Oh, okay. It doesn't have to be all the way at the synagogue, but either way, all manner of leaven which I have not found, may it be counted as the dust of the earth. Okay, we're going into the text. We are at 19, 2 Samuel 19. Cassandra is fully with us now, so she is able to read. So Yoav will not be pressured. Cassandra, would you be so good?
It was told Yoav, behold, the king is weeping and mourning for Absalom. So the victory that day was turned into mourning for all the people. For the people heard that day, the king is grieving for his son. And the people stole into the city that day as people steal in who are ashamed when they flee in battle. The king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, "O my son Absalom! O Absalom, my son, my son." Then Yoav came into the house of the king and said, You have today covered with shame the faces of all your servants, who have this day saved your life and the lives of your sons and your daughters, and the lives of your wives and your concubines. Because you love those who hate you and hate those who love you. For you have made it clear today that commanders and servants are nothing to you. For today I know that if Absalom were alive and all of us were dead today, then you would be pleased. Now therefore arise, go out and speak kindly to your servants. For I swear by the Lord, if you do not go, not a man will stay with you this night. And this will be worse for you than all the evil that has come upon you from your youth until now.
Okay, let's pause there. That's a great, excellent. Anything that was noticed in that little introduction?
As I told you last time, without Yoav, David doesn't have an army.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great, like the. Are you saying there's a veiled threat almost with Yoav coming forward, like, or just that he's upset, like you've humiliated me?
Well, he speaks in the language of threat, but I'm sure his intention is good. I don't know if he knows how to speak softly.
Yes.
I think Yoav definitely proved his loyalty in the last couple of chapters. Because it seems like when we first met Absalom, he thought he saw an ally in Joab, and Joab said, "No, I'm with David, ride or die forever."
Yeah.
Like Joab knows who he's hitched his ride to, and he's going to be Joab, but he's going to be Joab in service of David.
Yeah. That's good. This is exactly why I love the character of Yoav so much. Joab is fascinating. And anything else that is noticed? Yanni is saying veiled. It's a clear threat, which I like. Yanni, drop us what the Greek version is. Let us know in English, please. Anything else noticed?
Just for David here, just how many layers of grief are hitting him at this point. I mean, the words of Nathan after the Bathsheba incident and all that stuff, just layers and layers and layers. It's no longer a threat. He sees all of the destruction that he knows he's responsible for.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's interesting as well, the use of face and shame. So normally you would consider uncovering to be related to shame. So the king covered his face, and then Joab uses that to say, you have today covered with shame the faces of your servants. So he's veiling himself, but it's like it's creating the kind of embarrassment that normally is associated with an uncovering. And that use of shame, like shame or disgrace, the uncovering. Remember Absalom sleeping with the concubines? The Hebrew idiom for incest is to uncover the nakedness, right? So if you sleep with your father's if you sleep with your mother, it's to uncover your father's nakedness. So this notion of covering and uncovering related to shame, and what Absalom did, I think it's all in play. It's a really fun word play there. Covered his face. You've covered our faces with shame.
I was thinking about how he said, if you don't go out and talk to your servants, you'll lose all your men.
Yeah.
I guess because if they were loose face, they wouldn't want to be a part of his army. But I keep thinking about at the beginning where they talked about all the things that you would have to give up and sacrifice for a kingship.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it's kind of like the king kind of also pays this price in a way too. He loses parts of his family too.
That's a very good point. That's a great point, Cassandra. I'm watching. I'm rewatching the show Kings because my wife was finally open to watching it, which I've recommended to people, which is about Saul and David. And a line that Saul says to Jonathan in that show is, "We give up what we want when we want power." Right? Like if you want to be king, if you want, right? It's the thing that politicians have to do. You have to give up what actually is just you because you're now representing something bigger, right? And that seems to be what Joab is getting in his face about. Go ahead, Matt.
Is that phrase like going out? Is that like portentous in the Hebrew Bible? Because again, I'm drawn back to the time when kings went out to war when David didn't go with. It was the start of this whole mess.
Right. I think the idiom has a notion of doing like whatever your business is. So it says when it, for instance, in the Shema, it speaks of you're sitting down, you're getting up, you're coming in, you're going out, right? Like when you're going about your business, right? Like that, it's almost like whatever the business of being king is. Statecraft. Yanni, deep state problems, indeed. Anything else noticed?
Say, Joab is the deep state.
That's what we said. Yeah, Joab is the deep state. I did want to make mention as well. There's a new guy on Jacob's channel, and I'm really liking his material as well. His name's Donnie. He's going through Genesis. So if you guys are liking the Bible studies, I think he does a really good job. He's about now. So early Genesis. Okay. I think we're there. Is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then the king arose and took a seat in the gate, and the people were all told, "Behold, the king is sitting in the gate." And all the people came before the king.
Yeah. So you got to go out again. You have to be the official, right? Like we have other stories where the elders of the town will be at the gate, or the judges. He's taking a good. He's taking the position of king. Like he's getting up and no longer just like covering himself, right? You get that image of you had a rough day and you're under your blankets, right? Like he's covering himself. He's taking on a form of shame. Yeah, all that stuff. Look, Donnie's doing a good job, Yon God. Bro, Donnie going through Genesis chapters in 20 to 30 minutes is an affront to God's hard work. He's doing all right. Yanni, he just needs you bothering him more. The more you bother, the longer it takes. All right? Yeah. I can't, guys. I can't. Cassandra, do you have an opinion on San Antonio Sotari?
No. No, I love his profile picture, though. That's great.
My gut assumption is San Antonio Sotari is Team Joab.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. Yeah. Young God. So this is the famous kayfabe I've been hearing. That's the closest to swearing I've ever heard Sartori say. How is he doing that with the two? Never mind. This is great. Glad to have either of you jump on the stream. Michael, what do we call the other one? San Antonio and San Antonio? Okay.
I mean, it's not Santa. That doesn't sound right.
Yes. Santa Sartori. That'll be like a special Christmas thing. Because like it'll be, I want a Christmas thing. I think that would be great. All right, let's continue and not become too confused. You better keep that word out of your mouth. What is happening? Okay. Sandy is joining us, but your device. Oh, there she is. Hi, Sandy.
Hi.
We just started. So Absalom has died, and David is sad about it, and Yoav is upset that he's sad about it. And as soon as you jump on, you're responsible for reading, Sandy. Go ahead.
Top line. Now
Yes.
Israel. Okay.
Yes.
All right. End of verse 8. Now Israel had fled, every man to his own home, and all the people were arguing throughout the tribes of Israel, saying, "The king delivered us from the hand of our enemies and saved us from the hand of the Philistines. And now he has fled out of the land from Absalom. But Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now, therefore, why do you say nothing about bringing the king back?"
Okay, pause there for 1 second. I keep on saying it. Notice it in the text, Israel, because the nation is going to split between Judah and Israel. So this is, again, speaking of this issue that is very present, is how do you keep them one thing, right? There's in a lot of the writings in the U.S., like early founding of the United States, they keep on talking about the American experiment and whether or not we can actually keep this thing all together, right? Like you're collecting 12 different groups with different loyalties. And so will they actually stay together with David, or now do they see themselves as separate, as enemies to him? Are they going to be forgiven? This is all the tension that's there. Yoav, you look like you were going to say something.
Yeah, the interesting bit that the other part is not called Judah, it's called the people. It's Israel versus the people.
Yeah.
First time I noticed any formulation like that. What
Yeah.
I take from this is that David had a coalition. It's not only Judah that was fighting with him. Is Ammonites allies, ex-Philistines, various nomadic desert people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a very good point, because we even see it in the names where there's like Gittites and Uriah the Hittite, right? Like his mighty men are not merely Israel. What is Michael Sartori everyone? Well, San Antonio Sartori everyone. Any other thoughts? What I really want to see is how these different aspects of Michael's personality will relate to the biblical story at hand. Okay? I want it on topic. Stop your trolling, Sartori, and give us biblical commentary from these characters, okay? Cassandra, would you continue to read, unless anyone else has does anyone have anything else? Then Cassandra, go ahead.
And King David sent this message to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Say to the elders of Judah, why should you be the last to bring the king back to his house when the word of all Israel has come to the king? You are my brothers, you are my bone and my flesh. Why then should you be the last to bring back the king? And say to Amasa, are you not my bone and my flesh? God do so to me, and more also, if you are not commander of my army from now on in place of Yoav. And he swayed the heart of all the men of Judah as one man, so that they sent word to the king, return both you and all your servants.
Oh, this is so good. So good. Where is he getting the language for out of his speech?
Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh.
That's right. That's Adam and Eve language, right? Like
right.
The sometimes noted as like a poem that Adam like sings when he sees Eve for the first time. So it's like bridal imagery, like to describe them as your other half, right? Like that kind of things. Like, what are we going to be? And the breakup of the nation is described elsewhere as divorce. So you can see here the opposite of that. Like, you're my flesh and my bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, interestingly, the king suddenly notices that it's past time to replace Joab. Because not only Joab killed Absalom, he's starting
Yeah.
to threaten the king.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that.
Mm.
Pink slip for Joab. That won't go over well. Yeah. It's a great way of saying it. Yeah. Also, what Yoav, you were saying, the notion that the people who were defending David were not necessarily actually Israel. Now he's appealing to the countrymen. He refers to them as his flesh and blood, right? Because he wouldn't actually have like blood connection to these local people who have become part of it.
Okay, this is not well. This is indirectly on topic.
I'm excited.
I haven't really thought about this saying deeply before because you're referencing, him calling them his bone and his flesh, and that back to Adam and Eve being of the same bone and flesh.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering about the significance of the phrase, not only in this particular chapter and verse, but I'm finally getting my foot looked at this week after 2
Mm-hmm.
months of limping. And when I went to the doctor last night, she has ordered an X-ray for the bone and an ultrasound for the flesh because
Right.
we're not sure where the issue is coming from. And it's the same foot, but it's not the same issue, depending on what you look for. And I'm wondering now, the repetition of this seems a little more significant to me because he's calling them his bone and his flesh, and those things should work together, not only between people, but also like as a unity of. And I'm kind of going, what a weird thing to be thinking today, but it just feels more. I'm more attuned to it, I guess. I'm paying more attention to the terminology.
Yeah. Well, and it's the bone, like it almost gives this notion of like the foundation, right? The foundations which were solid, and we do have a couple of traditions where, like, after when you would die, the flesh would kind of melt off, and they would collect the bones. So the bones are like, again, like the foundation of a house, where there'd sometimes be a fire and the fire would burn the top of the house, but then the foundation would still stand and you could rebuild on that, right? So the bones is like the solid part of you versus the flesh, the stuff that clings to that.
Right. Like, is it Ezekiel that has the dream of the Valley of the Bones?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And some people believed that keeping the bones was a way of preserving the people for the resurrection. So the idea that, like, the bones are the foundation of the person, or it's even like where the identity of the person was. Don, it is Joab is nephews of David. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about that through the medical lens you brought up, how like the bone and flesh is an example of sort of like the diversity in unity of marriage cycles down to that's present within your own body as well.
Right. I'm also, I don't know, maybe this is going too far, but I'm thinking at this point, people don't understand like DNA and blood the way we do, but they know that chicken tastes different than beef, right? They know beef tastes different than mutton, right? And so it's like you and me, like they know that there's an essence in the flesh of what a thing is like, right? And so we are the same. We're the same sort of thing. I feel like there's all kinds of tricks we do as people to try to make sure that, like, what we're saying is you and me we're the same. We are the same, you and I. Yeah.
Makes me think. I was watching a video where they're talking about if the dire wolves are actually dire wolves that they brought back,
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Talk about that. That's a good
or
point.
just the gray wolves. Well, because I don't know. There's like, is it really a de-extinction? But they they took gray wolf DNA and manipulated it to be as close as what I guess the dire wolf genome would be like.
Yeah.
Since they've been extinct, I think there's probably a lot of guesswork in it. I don't know how much they would actually know about, unless I guess they have a good enough DNA.
Ah, that's so interesting, Cassandra. I'm so glad you brought this in because there's that thing where the rats with the licking, how they had genes related to like nurturing, and the only ones that passed the genes on, right, were the ones who had the gene and were like groomed by their parents. They were the only ones that passed the gene on. So if you take the genes of a wolf, but it's not socialized by that creature, but like if its parents aren't also dire wolves, right?
Right.
Is it still a mastodon if it's just genetically, if we know a lot of those genes are turned on by how the parents parent them?
Right.
What was that? Epigenetics. That's the term I was looking for. Epigenetics, where the genes require something in nature to even turn on their capability.
Well, that's interesting. Yesterday I was talking, I was having a voice chat conversation. And I forget why, well, I forget how it meandered, but we were talking about things that get grafted. And so it kind of reminds me of the, if you're talking about form and function and how things come together and why and what can be expected of that, one of the things I had mentioned was, yeah, we can try to, long short story, I had a climbing rose beside my back deck, and it was there for 20 years and more. And then all of a sudden one year, the climbing rose started to not be as strong, not be as healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It had issues. And we tried trimming it back. But when we trimmed it back, the climbing rose stopped being a climbing rose and the parts just sort of withered. And what I was left with was the root rose, which was nothing. It wasn't even a tea rose at all. It was one of those nice, sturdy, thick, with the really sharp points, round roses that you see places with that style of rose. And it started growing those kind of roses again. It reverted to what it was. And
oh, this is interesting. I actually do think this is related. I know it feels like we drifted pretty far, but I actually think that there is a biblical idea that your actions make you part or a part of things, right? And so like I found something about Agag when we were all the way back in 1 Samuel, like Agag, who is the king who was who had to be taken out by Saul, and he didn't do it. And the rabbinic commentary said you only were considered a descendant of him if you were a child of one of his descendants and did what he did. If you repented and turned away, you were no longer considered to be one of their descendants, right? And in the New Testament, you get this where there's a group of people who says, no, you are the child of your father, the devil, right? Like the idea that you could become, you actually, what your flesh and blood is could be determined, biblically thinking, not merely by your genes, but by your actions. You can be removed from a family and you're no longer considered a descendant because of your actions. Okay, let's go back a second because Sartori is making a good point. It seems that David's actions may result in a change of alignment with the character of Joab. In other words, he is teasing a turn towards become a heel, right? Which is a wrestling term. But he's doing it very intellectually. He's correct, like the turn from good guy to bad guy. The notion that you can make a choice, and then what your alignment is, what kind of person you are, who is your bone and flesh, could shift in what you've decided.
I think he's
Yeah, I mean,
just committed. I'm sorry. Good.
You go, Matt. Yoav knows he gets plenty of opportunity.
You say like Joab he's committed to the house of David in part because that's his house too, but he's not necessarily bought into David's personal project. So as we see, as he kind of moves on later in the story, like he's going to make moves for the house at the expense of David's wishes. So he's in a sense committed to a bigger project than David is at this point, which is like part of what animates this action.
Yeah. Okay. Yoav, your thoughts?
I just wanted to say it's very clear. I mean, Yoav just killed his son and actually declared mutiny. It's more than David's decision to turn him into a heel.
Yeah.
He has actually no other choice at this way.
It's so strange, isn't it, though? Because Absalom was never seen as an enemy, even though he tries to kill David. Yoav is seen as the enemy, even though he was always trying to save David. So strange. Okay, let's go back to the text. This is very good. That's a very good point. Sandy, not Cassandra. Go ahead.
You've highlighted 14. I'm starting there.
Yes.
And he
exactly.
swayed the heart of all the men of Judah as one man, so that they sent word to the king, "Return, both you and all your servants." So the king came back to the Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to meet the king and to bring the king over the Jordan.
Yeah. Look at that. Again, they're speaking to Judah as one man, because a lot of the people who would have probably went with Absalom would have been like maybe relatives, things like that. Now they're bringing him back in. Okay, continue going.
And Shimei, the son of Gera, the Benjaminite, from Barim, hurried to come down to the men with the men of Judah to meet King David. And with him were 1,000 men from Benjamin. And Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, with his 15 sons and his 20 servants, rushed down to the Jordan before the king. And they crossed the ford to bring over the king's household and to do his pleasure. And Shimei, the son of Gera, fell down before the king as he was about to cross the Jordan, and said to the king, "Let not my lord hold me guilty, or remember how your servant did wrong on the day my lord the king left Jerusalem. Do not let the king take it to heart, for your servant knows that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I have come this day, the first of all the house of Joseph, to come down and meet my lord the king." Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered, "Shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed?" But David said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you should this day be as an adversary to me? Shall anyone be put to death in Israel this day? For do I not know that I am this day king over Israel? And the king said to Shimei, "You shall not die." And the king gave him his oath.
Okay, pause. Look at this. You can see him speaking as David, and you can see him speaking as the king, right? What we were talking about previously, that you have David the statesman and David the individual, right? So he's the king, that's his role, and then he's David the person. So as David, he speaks to his family member, which was being discussed in the chat before. Zeruiah is his sibling, right? Like they have the same parents. So it's, what do I have to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you should this day be an adversary to me? Shall anyone be put to death in Israel this day? For do I not know that I am this day king over Israel? And then he speaks as king, right? See, it's fascinating how it changes the pronouns, if you will, to which David is referred to. Yeah, very personal. And this I find so interesting too, because what do you do when you're in victory? Do you kill all your enemies? Do you put them all to death? Do you put to death the people that sided separately? Or do you try to make peace? Yoav, you're a realist. Do you think that this is good to forgive? Or do you think he should have made the heads roll?
He doesn't need to have heads roll. I mean, his kingdom is not in danger from any element on the inside. Then there's no point in. I mean, he can show himself to be a good king. He will just add 2 points. There's no opposition to fight, so why kill people?
Right.
There's no position of warfare to fight, but it's clear that the kingdom is not stable at this moment because everything here cascades, like the decision to pink slip Joab. That's another decision that has a lot of consequences.
Yeah, he already realized that his biggest enemies are the sons of Tzuriah. And it's a bomb to be diffused, he doesn't know how.
Yeah. And
Biggest
Yoav
enemies were his greatest allies yesterday.
Yeah. Yoav mentioned this before, is he solves this problem by kicking the can down the road, right? Because this is the first thing that Solomon will fix.
Yeah, he's a good politician. But very interestingly, I don't know how to make it, the word for adversary is very strong. He's actually using the same word as the devil.
Is it Shatan? Satan?
Yes.
Hasatan? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your sons of the devils.
Yeah.
But,
that's very interesting because that language is used elsewhere. I know this is Christian Bible, but in the New Testament, it speaks of Cain because of his decisions being of the evil one, right? Which is a reference to being a child of Satan, right? Like this idea that you could, again, by your decisions, become a child of the evil one, of someone else, and not just a human someone else.
I think in the Bible, David is considered to be one of the most righteous men ever lived. Although he's a man of war and a man of fornication and whatever. And I think this is the answer. Why is David considered such a righteous man?
Yeah.
Because he has been living with the devil most of his career, and he didn't fall.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Is it a mark of wisdom that you bring the devil into your counsels? Sorry, go on.
In some cases it is. If you're trying to unify the people, Abraham Lincoln had as political advisors people who were from the South. He when he was trying to do that and trying to maintain the Union, he did things that people now look back on and say, well, was that racist? Was that whatever? But he's like, in his time period, he's very shrewd in knowing how to join the fractured pieces together. San Antonio Sartori says, you can't fake being a babyface. So that's like the guy, the good guy, right?
I think it's only a wrestling term. Yes, the good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good guy. It's like almost like naive. Like you can't.
No, it's definitely. I'm proud of myself. I'm beginning to understand wrestling terminology. The good guy in wrestling is called the babyface.
Yeah. A wrestler portrayed as a heroic good guy or fan favorite character who is meant to be cheered by the audience as opposed to the heel or villain.
Wow, I'm getting good at that.
Good. Gentleman's war. I mean, yeah. This is the bits where I'm like, I do think there's so much wisdom in what is happening with David, because you'll see sometimes when someone wins, they want to torture those that they beat, right? And then you lose all those people. You have to make sure that they're actually on side, so they must be punished. But to what extent are they to be punished? Right? And so it seems like what David's desire is to put down the rebellion, but that not even Absalom would have been killed. He probably would have to be publicly punished and humiliated and wouldn't be allowed in the city anymore. He may even have been kept from being allowed to have children in some of those situations. But like David's desire is not, it's going to take in his enemies as opposed to destroy them, right?
Was that a punishment, not being allowed to have children?
So the children could be seen as threats, and who you married would certainly be controlled, right? There was Abner leaves Saul's side. I can't remember his child. His child, who he's trying to make king, gets upset because of who Abner marries, like because that would have been seen as a threat to the throne.
Okay, I just went back to the other chapters where Absalom puts up his pillar. So I don't know. It just made me think of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, Yoav is a scorpion on a frog's back. Okay, if you take Yoav with you, someone is going to die. He's going to kill somebody. Yoav, that's why you don't get invited places. Okay, people are very worried that someone's going to die. Yeah, they're either going to die or hear about color theory.
Just played the Bob Dylan lyrics in my head. Absalom's going to kill someone. Might be the devil, it might be the Lord.
But he's going to kill somebody.
Kill someone.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and again, he binds himself with an oath, which is good. One of the Sandys, either Sandy, or Cassandra, please read for us.
I'll read. Okay. And Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king. He had neither taken care of his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until the day he came back in safety. And when he came to Jerusalem to meet the king said to him, "Why did you not go with me, Mephibosheth?" He answered, "My lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For your servant said to him, I will saddle a donkey for myself, that I may ride on it and go with the king. For your servant is lame. He has slandered your servant to my lord the king, but my lord the king is like the angel of God. Do therefore what seems good to you. For all my father's house were but men doomed to death before my lord the king. But you set your servant among those who eat at your table. What further right have I than to cry to the king?" And the king said to him, "Why speak any more of your affairs? I have decided. You and Ziba shall divide the land." And Mephibosheth said to the king, "Oh, let him take it all, since my lord the king has come safely home."
Okay, let's pause here for a second. So you'll remember the person who, Sandy, do you remember what happened? I think it was the last time you were here, maybe, or 2 times ago.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. So
tired.
Mephibosheth has someone who takes care of him. because he's lame. He's lame, right? He walks with crutches, or is often depicted as walking with crutches. It's taken to be because again, he could be switching sides. And the guy who's taking care of him says, yeah, he switched sides when David was leaving. He has to do something to demonstrate that he was actually sad while David was gone. And he does this by debasing himself, right? How can I prove that I was actually mourning while David was gone? And the answer is that he doesn't take care of his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes. So he comes in like he's been mourning, right? Yoav, correct me if I'm wrong. When you're sitting Shiva, isn't it true that like the clothes aren't to be washed or things like that, like as a sign of mourning?
No, I don't recognize it. Anyway, it's not his beard, it is mustache. Definitely they refer to his mustache. First time I hear any reference to taking care of one's mustache. These are unusual local customs. I don't recognize them very well.
Well, it's interesting. If you take someone like Sartori or as Matt there, they being unkept is not having a beard. It's just making sure you trim your mustache, right? You can grow everything, but to be kept is to trim your mustache. And even in some Jewish context, right? What is the corners of the beard? The trimming of the corners of the beard versus the mustache is not the corner of the beard. You can clip a little bit there in order to not get soup in it.
Okay, I have to answer Don. The liar gets to have half the land. Now, it's not just an argument between those two people. Each one of them has a family and servants and people siding with him, people siding against him. Mm-hmm. And the king tried always both ways. He tries to give the land to one of them, didn't settle the argument between them, tried to give it to the other man, didn't settle the argument with him. Now he's doing a Solomon judgment. You split it, just be in peace.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is so good. Because Yoav, the person who's in the right, says just give him everything, right? Because that's the exact same thing that happens in the Solomon case too. Mephibosheth saying just give him everything is the text's way of letting us know that Mephibosheth was in the right, right?
So Solomon was the wisest man because he studies his father.
Oh, that's so good. Because you can even picture like 5-year-old Solomon watching this situation, keeping it in mind for later.
But does Mephibosheth get all of his stuff restored to him? Sorry, I did take a photo with somebody. So I couldn't hear that section. Like, what's the ultimate ruling in David's case? Like, do they split 50-50? Is that how the text ends?
I'm a little bit confused at the end of Mephibosheth.
Because I see this as sort of an example that lays up how Solomon surpasses his father. David is in a he said situation where there's no way really, just based on who the stories are being told, to figure out what really happened. Because you've got your two warrior perspectives.
Right.
When Solomon gives a judgment, he gives his judgment in a way that causes both parties to reveal themselves in a way that allows him to make a decision into with righteousness. So when Solomon sees what David's doing, he's like, I can do better. Like, this might be a moment that he meditates on. It's like, I don't know. I feel like David's kind of doing his the best, but it's also another kind of kick the can down the road.
That's good.
There we go. Mr. Yoav shrugging. Please fix me. Correct me.
Well, I'm fine. Just those fine points are so new to me, and I'm just trying to think about them. I mean, the implications are just like waves in a pond.
Yeah. He's not always frustrated. When Yoav closes his eyes, he's often being hit by something he didn't think of before. He's like, how do I how do I line these things up in my mind? You should see like numbers being written in like light and like wires connecting. You know what I'm talking. Cassandra understands. She understands what I'm saying. What is the Hebrew word for mustache, please, Yoav? Please enlighten us.
Safam.
Safam. Okay.
Yes, which in French is his wife.
That's good. That's good.
Also, the molecular supercomputer in the three-body problem. It's so fun.
This is lots of fun. Lots of fun. Okay, Sandy. Could you please read for us now?
Sure. Now Barzillai the Gileadite had come down from Mogilim and went on with the king to the Jordan to escort him over the Jordan. Barzillai was a very aged man, 80 years old. He had provided the king with food while he stayed at Mahanaim, for he was a very wealthy man. And the king said to Barzillai, "Come over with me, and I will provide for you with me in Jerusalem." But Barzillai said to the king, "How many years have I still to live, that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old. Can I discern what is pleasant and what is not? Can your servants taste what he eats or what he drinks? Can I still listen to the voice of singing men and singing women? Why then should your servant be an added burden to my lord the king? Your servant will go a little way over the Jordan with the king. Why should the king repay me with such a reward? Please let your servant return, that I may die in my own city, near the grave of my father and my mother. But here is your servant let him go over with my lord the king, and do for him whatever seems good to you." And
okay, pause 1 second. This old guy is the best. Isn't he the best? I just immediately, I'm picturing a very Yiddish accent as well. I'm very old. I'm 80 years old. I can't taste anything anymore. I don't even like the music anymore. I can barely hear it, right? Like I picture he's so old, his taste is going, his hearing is gone. Very aged man. But what I find so interesting about it, coming from I heard Larry David talking. That's not Larry David. Anyway, okay. I hear stereotypes are never funny. What are you talking about? But 80 is very old in a biblical book. Like a lot of people will criticize the Old Testament because there will be people who live to mythological ages, right? But it seems to have a knowledge of the fact that 80 is like a ridiculously old man, right? It does know that. But this guy, because to be brought into the city, to be brought to the capital, it's not just where you live. It's like inviting this guy into a position of prominence. And he's saying, no, not me. I'm going to pass it on to the next generation. You know, like the boomers ought to do. This is worse than San Antonio Sartori's bizarre attempt at a Texas drawl. I will admit this. I don't know if you guys watched one of the second San Antonio Sartori video. I immediately messaged Mick Moe and said, does this count as blackface? Because it switches at some point from Southern white to Southern black. So you gotta watch that. You gotta watch that, Sartori. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, let's stay on point. This is getting very silly. Does anyone anything else?
But David is offering him, if I'm reading this correctly, David is offering to bring him over. It's an honor. It's an honor what he's offering him. And he's saying, how many years do I have left to really give you? what this honor deserves. Give back to you.
Right.
Two-way reciprocal relationship. And yeah, I mean, yes, you said it very basically, so he's passing it down the next generation, which he is. But he's establishing something by doing that.
Yeah. Yoav, you had a little smirk. Something was making you happy.
Yeah, I mean the comments are the best comments ever. But on the story, this new guy Kim Ham, it is. First of all, what names are these? I mean, a normal name should have the mention of soft deity. Either it's El or Baal or Hadad or whatever. What a name is Barzillai and what a name is Kim Ham? Who are these people? What is their culture? And who is this Kim Ham that's now going to go and live in Jerusalem and to be in the royal household and become an important man, presumably? So he has to have his origin story. Well, there are lots of people living in Jerusalem at the time. Well, it's getting complicated.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think what that name would be, what it could mean. Khan was this. I'm trying to find it.
Well, Barzillai is a man of iron.
Okay. And the other guy's name could mean longing or thirst?
Yeah, it doesn't make
So
sense.
bizarre.
It hints at sort of some kind of a foreign, isolated subculture in the other side of the Jordan that we know nothing about.
That's interesting, though, because he's talking about how his life brings him no pleasure anymore, and his name is related to longing.
No, well, the younger man's name is.
Who are these people? If Yoav doesn't know, I don't know. I do love whenever geographical facts come up, because Yoav just says, I was there on Tuesday, and this is what it looks like now.
I love some of the things I've been listening to lately said about Israel, and some of them in referencing all, like difficult times. The perceptions of other people about the Jews. And this reminds me of one thing where somebody was talking about how long the nation of, like the land of Israel, has been a place of great diversity and a place where you tend to think it's only the Jews who live there, or they're saying only the Jews shall live here. But if you look back, there's always been interaction. And it's interesting to me saying, as a nation, they know who they are. They have Sinai, they have Moses, they have clarity of what is their identity and what is expected of them and their relationship there. And at the same time, I listened to this story in the midst of other stories, and I'm thinking, and yet they have always been a people who don't, like David, what we're talking about, David, Solomon, the wisdom that they know, even in the midst of saying that they have to be very determined about what they do and do not do in relation to their God and God's expectations of them as a people, the gift he's given them, in a sense, to be who they are in the midst of nations. I see it just in this story already. And I'm like, it's too bad we don't think about it more. We really need to. And I'm thinking that, those of us who are not Jewish need to challenge others around us to go, have you actually thought about this? Really? It's all the way back to the Bible readings, all the way back.
Yeah, it is interesting the role that non-Jews play in the biblical narrative. Okay, cuss Andy. It is now your turn to read, unless Matt goes off mute because he came on to say something. Cuss Andy. From "And the King Answered."
And the king answered, Chimham shall go over with me, and I will do for him whatever seems good to you. And all that you desire of me, I will do for you. Then all the people went over the Jordan, and the king went over. And the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him. And he returned to his own home. The king went on till Gilgal, and Chimham went on with him. All the people of Judah and also half the people of Israel brought the king on his way. Then all the men of Israel came to the king and said to the king, Why have our brothers, the men of Judah, stolen you away and brought the king and his household over the Jordan, and all David's men with him? All the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, Because the king is our close relative. Why then are you angry over this matter? Have we eaten at all at the king's expense? Or has he given us any gift? And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah, We have 10 shares in the king, and in David also we have more than you. Why then did you despise us? Were we not the first to speak of bringing back our king? But the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel.
Okay. That is going to be the section we are covering today. Go, Yoav. I heard that sigh. That's go ahead.
Now, what can I say? We cannot stop quarreling about anything. I mean, just cannot stop quarreling for a moment. Nothing I can add to that.
Yeah.
David goes from juggling political footballs to being the political football.
Yeah. It's a constant, and it's this tension doesn't stop at him too. It goes on for generations, right? They gather together. His grandson. There's going to be a group of men that gather because of his grandson and say, "What do we have in common with the son of Jesse? What are we doing here?" Right? And so they're actually saying, because remember, one of the tribes is Switzerland. So Levi is Switzerland. Okay. So they say we have 10. So the 12 tribes, one is Judah, one is Levi, and then there's the other 10. Right. So they're saying we should have been the ones in a place of honor. Right. And he just has to figure out all of these loyalties to try to possibly bring them together. Right.
No, if you're counting 10 against 2, I would count Judah and Shimon against the others.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just because of geographically. Yeah.
I was going to say, isn't Simeon like completely surrounded by Judah? Is that right? Something like that? Am I remembering wrong?
Is that what you're getting at, Yoav?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm now. This is a question that happens every single election cycle, right? Where the president has to go forward and say, "I know I only got voted in by half of you, but I'm the leader of all of you," right? They have to make this like this big speech and demonstration that like I mean goodwill to all the people who said they hated me and hoped that I lost or died, right? Like you have to be the president of them too. This is good.
Well, why does David go with Judah? Does he just feel more comfortable there? He doesn't trust the other people of Israel?
I don't know.
I mean, that's his tribe. That's his family. Those are the people that have a like direct kinship investment in him. And I mean, like he was. Oh, gotta go back to work. But I mean, like he was anointed there 6 years before he was the king of every.
Yeah, especially when there's insurrections coming up. Man, I don't know.
Yeah, and then, I guess there's not a central place that's like a district that's set apart. Like how in the US there's a DC, whereas do you just live where your tribe is and then you rule the rest from there?
That's part of Jerusalem is becoming the capital. Is that all right? Like now Judah becomes the capital, right? It's like if Ron DeSantis wins president and he just says there's no more Washington, D.C., where now Florida is the capital, good luck, right? Like what does that say if you say I'm the king of everyone, but this is the capital is now my my hometown or whatever, right? Like I know Bethlehem is not Jerusalem, but either way, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. The sibling rivalry just keeps going on and on, even as tribes.
And the immediate next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a rebellion from Benjamin. Benjamin is the least on board because Benjamin has a right, like has a claim for kingship, right? If you were part of Naphtali, there's no claim that Naphtali has a king, right? So they're not the problem of all these considerations that you have to make. Like, why does David really have to consider how he takes care of Mephibosheth, right? Because he's Benjamin.
Right.
Anything else before we go? Dad always liked you better.
Yeah.
Does Dawn ever come on camera?
No, I don't think I've seen her.
Dawn, you're always welcome.
Judah did get a really good blessing, though.
Judah did get a very that's
compared to everyone else's.
Yeah. You don't want to be Simeon or Levi in that, or Reuben. It's all bad.
Yeah.
There is a theory that the order of the birth of the sons of Jacob is a symbol to the order in which tribes joined the Israeli community. So each tribe joined the community in its own trajectory, and it joined the others in its own time. And Benjamin will be the last tribe to join the union. This is why the most loose part of the pack.
And all that issue at the end of Judges, where Benjamin does some pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah, it hints to that they are still not very well settled within the other tribes.
Right.
Not fully integrated.
It's like I keep on comparing it to the U.S. because Texas is like, if at any moment we don't like it here, we reserve the right to become our own country, right? And so you just go, well, so are you a part of the U.S. or not? They're like, well, for now we are. But at any moment, we may not like it, and we're going to say we can leave. We can leave whenever we want. This is a reminder to people. I love Michael Sartori. I think he is a wonderful human being. I have never really watched wrestling since I was like 4, maybe. I was younger than 7. So I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to participate in this. I think that I want to try, but I don't know, man. Might be difficult for me. Yoav, are you going to watch WrestleMania? It seems like you're putting the effort into learning the terms.
Yes, I have to learn the language because it will become very relevant even outside the TLC.
Mhm.
People are using the terms constantly when referring to politics. I just
Yeah.
have to learn the language to understand what people are talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this thing that Jan God is saying. Cyrus fixes things, because there is a way in which the enemies sometimes unify more than good kings.
Only it's the wrong king. Cyrus is the good king.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Good catch.
Young God, I think, is half asleep today. I mean, he said himself in one of the comments that his brain is only in half capacity.
Okay. So we're getting a little bit of dreams in there. So dreams are coming in as well as thoughts. All right, friends.
Tony Sartori is doing the job.
Yeah, that's interesting. He just evolves into Yon God. That's that's what San Antonio Sartori is.
Okay, I'm left with two random questions.
Shoot,
Why-
Sandy.
Why is Simeon inside of Judah? Like, why is one tribe inside of another? And
It's not exactly. Oh, well, he's south of Judah, but south of Judah there is nothing. It's the high desert. So it's surrounded by Judah anyway, no matter how you write the map.
so what about this town where David was staying, Mahanaim? Like, I was looking it up to see where it was when we were talking about how Judah crossed with him and how the other 10 tribes were angry. And it's up by, like, we've talked about the Jabbok River before, and it says it's where, where David encountered God, and I can read all kinds of stuff. Why would he go? Does that mean he crossed over from where he was through the other tribes and down into Judah, or did he go skirt around and below the sea? Like,
well, I think Joseph gave us the map last time, so we should rewatch the episode of last time and what Joseph was saying. But anyway, the place where David came back to meet people was the Gilgal. That's in the middle somewhere. Not too much north, not too much south.
Right over. Oh, where? I just saw it. Follow the water. Gilgal is right there, and there's Jerusalem.
Okay, so he did come down and then through Benjamin and into.
Okay, but let's us remember that was the great puzzle last time, that the battle with Absalom was in the forest of Ephraim. So here we have Ephraim on the map. So the battle was in Ephraim, and David was still on the other side of the Jordan. So his army has to cross the river right to left for the fight, and then cross the river again to come back to David, and then they're crossing it again to come back home. I don't get it. I mean, because there is a mountain. I mean, it's not just crossing the mountain. It is the Jordan Valley. It's the lowest place in the world. Right. It's quite a steep climb every time crossing that river. It's not just crossing rivers, it's climb quite a bit in the desert.
That's interesting.
It's complicated.
Yeah, the Dead Sea, a reminder, the Dead Sea is the lowest point in the entire world.
Yes, and you see Jericho just next to Gilgal, and Jericho is still in the lowest place. So you have to climb quite a bit to get to the forest of Ephraim. Right. And then you go back to the other side to rejoin David, and then you go back again to Benjamin. Wow, those people knew how to walk.
I never thought of this as well. So I'm looking at this, and it's saying that like Benjamin is right next to Judah as well. Like that,
Yes.
even the locations would put them in a position where, if the kingship is in fact coming from Jerusalem, Benjamin is like they're the people right next to the capital, right?
Yeah,
Like
Jerusalem's in
that's one. That's one thing. The other thing, you can say they are stuck between Judah and Israel, so they are considered third party. There's a tribe that arrived and sort of found its place on the border between two existing camps already.
right.
And by the end of the days, Benjamin just merged with the Judah.
Right. Which is interesting in and of itself. These guys definitely got their 10,000 steps in every day.
Yeah, it's at least 5,000 steps per chapter.
Wow. Okay. Any other thoughts before we go? Yoav is deep in thought because he has closed his eyes. He's looking for inspiration from the spirit of the Lord of hosts to tell him what to say next.
Oh, I'm missing some fortification, like some rabbis or some chezis or somebody who really knows this stuff to join in.
Yeah.
I'm pulling all the weight on my slim shoulders.
Yeah, we'll see. I wonder if you're still gonna be participating next year, right? Like the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you're not like going anywhere. You take you Passover is a party, but
Passover is Saturday evening. The evening between Saturday and Sunday. So
yeah.
But
you're still here next week. Okay, cool.
Yes, I will be. We have a vacation. I'll be on a vacation all of next week.
See, that's what I was wondering. If you're getting the week off.
David, you said to him, "Is he going to participate next year?" And I'm thinking,
next week.
No, I meant calendar. And I'm like,
there is a calendar that starts in Sun.
Come on, Sandy. Today is to be for you the beginning of days.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about September and January.
This month shall be for you the beginning of months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are into the new year.
I am on vacation, but I'm not going anywhere special.
Okay. All right.
I got to work in that third new year.
We need more holidays. Come on, people. Why?
Okay, so be Jewish, you get a lot of them.
It's true, but the problem is a lot of your holidays are being sad about things. You're not going to wish someone a Merry Tisha B'Av or something like that. It's not. It's mournful. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Let's not get bogged down by these things. I hope everyone has a good Passover. Even Sandy. Okay. A happy Passover. People are going into Easter as well, so happy. We'll say Pascha.
The only thing I'm doing for Easter is driving 10 hours north. Thank goodness I don't have to walk.
Okay. But either way, we will be here next week.
My son and I both.
We've got a Northwestern camp out this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean it's very small, but me and a couple of folks from around the Olympia area are going to the woods.
Nice. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm calling the stream there. It's great talking to everyone. See y'all around. End stream, I click the